In early September 2025, the world said goodbye to one of the most unconventional duchesses in royal history. Her story is filled with paradoxes. While her family's historic treasures, including a sapphire brooch from a Russian empress, were quietly slipping away from the pages of history, she was creating an entirely different kind of legacy. Not one built from precious stones, but from music and human compassion. This is the story of Katharine, Duchess of Kent, a woman who, even as her family's priceless heirlooms were being lost to time, discovered her own quiet but equally precious purpose in life. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. Before she was a duchess, she was Katharine Worsley, the only daughter of a Yorkshire baronet, Sir William Worsley. Her world wasn't one of gilded palace halls, but of the stately country manor, Hovingham Hall, where her first and most enduring passion was music. From a young age, she learned the piano, the violin, and the organ, and this deep love for melody and harmony would, as we shall see, become the defining theme of her life. But fate, as it so often does, was composing a far grander piece for this musical young woman, making her the first woman without a title to marry into the royal family for more than a century. Everything changed when she met a young army officer, Prince Edward, the late Queen Elizabeth II's first cousin, who was stationed near her family home. In March of 1961, their engagement was announced, and the world had its first glimpse of the ring that would begin her public jewelry story. It was a beautifully elegant oval sapphire, flanked by 2 round diamonds in a classic platinum setting. I find the choice of a sapphire to be a particularly thoughtful touch, as it was a gentle nod to the engagement ring of her future mother-in-law, the famously chic Princess Marina. It felt like the very first thread connecting her to the legacy of her new family. And then came the wedding on the 8th of June 1961, where Katharine immediately revealed her independent character. Instead of Westminster Abbey or St. Paul's Cathedral, she insisted on being married in her home city of York. It's remarkable to think that for the first time in over 600 years, the ancient, soaring vaults of York Minster were hosting a royal wedding. This was more than just a choice of venue. It was a quiet statement of loyalty to her roots. She was a breathtaking sight that day. Her gown, a masterpiece by the Irish designer John Kavanagh, was pure 1960s couture with its stand-away collar, tightly fitted waist, and full skirt. Crafted from nearly 200 yards of delicate silk gauze, it culminated in a magnificent 15-foot train that swept behind her. In her hands, she carried a bouquet of white York roses, another loving homage to her home. Securing the tulle veil that completed this vision was her very first tiara. It was an exquisite diamond bandeau from the collection of Queen Mary, passed down from her mother-in-law. A clean, almost graphic line of brilliant diamonds, it perfectly complemented her youth and understated elegance. And so, the story began, with a sapphire on her finger and a delicate line of diamonds in her hair. This bandeau would become a trusted companion for countless occasions in the years to come. But this tiara, so perfect for a young bride, was destined for a rather dramatic transformation, a change that would spark much discussion. The story of this tiara is, in many ways, the story of Katharine herself, and we will certainly return to it. For now, though, let's open the jewel box she inherited, for it held true treasures with the most incredible provenances. As we move beyond Katharine's glittering wedding day, it's impossible not to be drawn, like a magpie, to the heart of her jewel box, a legacy woven from Princess Marina's most storied treasures. The lineage of these pieces is itself a tapestry of history, with each stone and setting carrying whispers of grand events and quiet personal choices. What is it about inheritance, I wonder, that gives objects not just value, but voice? Let's begin with the Cambridge Sapphire Parure, a set whose journey mirrors the tides of royal fortune and taste. Originally owned by Princess Augusta, Duchess of Cambridge, these remarkable sapphires passed to Queen Mary, who, with her characteristic eye for design, reimagined and expanded them. From Queen Mary, they went to her son's wife, Princess Marina, who wore the suite in some of her most iconic portraits. On Marina's death in 1968, the parure was inherited by her eldest son, Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, and subsequently worn by his wife, Katharine. Just picture it, the grandeur of a tiara, necklace, bracelets, brooches, all resplendent with blue, set against royal events of the 20th century. For years, Katharine had at her disposal this extraordinary sapphire suite, enjoying the inheritance of not just stones, but the memories embedded in them. Marina's appearances at coronations, state banquets, glittering portraits by Cecil Beaton. But times changed. By the 1980s, financial realities led to an unthinkable decision for many. A substantial part of the parure, notably the original grand tiara, was discreetly sold. The reasons, though often speculated about, are clear from the era: pragmatic necessity rather than mere whim. For now, let's leave the full story of these royal sales for later, and stay for a moment with the jewels themselves. Out of what remained rose something quite different, the so-called button tiara. Using the sapphire and diamond clusters salvaged from the original long necklace, a new petite circlet took shape, set upon a velvet band. It raises an interesting question, doesn't it? When you're the custodian of such history, is it better to preserve an original piece that might sit unseen in a vault, or adapt it for a new era? The story didn't end there. By the mid-1990s, the family faced further financial difficulties, and the remaining parts of the historic parure were also discreetly sold. They have since been seen worn by Moira of Moira Fine Art Jewelry in London, who has confirmed they are part of a private collection and not for resale. As for the little button tiara created from the necklace, its fate remains unknown. Another breathtaking piece from Marina's collection were her diamond girandole earrings. These weren't just beautiful, they were a piece of living history, crafted around 1780 and reportedly from the collection of Marina's grandmother, the Grand Duchess Vladimir of Russia. Composed of a cascade of old mine-cut diamonds in a silver and gold setting, they were designed to glitter spectacularly by candlelight. Princess Marina wore them to two of the most significant royal events of the 20th century: the coronation of King George VI in 1937, and again for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in 1953. After Marina's death, Katharine wore these historic earrings on numerous occasions. There's a wonderful, humanizing anecdote that the Duchess once said she spent time crawling on floors to retrieve diamonds from them, as they tended to fall out easily. But like the sapphires, their time with the Kents was finite. The earrings were sold and later appeared at a Christie's auction in 2000 with a rather sad footnote. 4 of the larger diamonds in each earring had been replaced with imitations. In a surreal modern twist, they were later loaned to Kim Kardashian. It's quite a jarring thought, to see a piece that witnessed 2 coronations end up under the bright lights of an auction house and a Hollywood red carpet. Not every piece from the inheritance had such a dramatic fate. One of my personal favorites is a striking brooch centered with a lustrous black pearl. After the brooch entered the Kent collection, Katharine had it cleverly adapted to serve as the clasp for a beautiful pearl choker. I've always found this transformation so thoughtful. It took a formal brooch and gave it a new, more modern life as a stunning centerpiece. Later, it seems the same diamond setting was used with a white pearl, showcasing its versatility. This core collection from Princess Marina, the sapphires, the historic earrings, the pearls, formed the foundation of the Duchess's jewel box for decades, but it was her tiaras that truly defined her silhouette at the grandest state occasions. While the grand sapphires and historic earrings represented a magnificent past, it was a different tiara that became the Duchess of Kent's defining diadem for much of her public life. We return now to the delicate diamond bandeau she wore on her wedding day. This piece had a lovely history within the Kent family even before Katharine. Originally from Queen Mary's collection, it was passed to Princess Marina, and was frequently worn by her young daughter, Princess Alexandra, in the late 1950s for some of her very first tiara occasions. When Katharine married into the family in 1961, this elegant bandeau became hers, and it was a constant presence in her early years, worn for everything from the Ugandan independence celebrations in 1962 to the coronation of the King of Tonga in 1968, and a glittering gala at the Palace of Versailles in 1972. But in the mid-1970s, it underwent a significant transformation. The original scrolling diamond elements were removed, and the base was surmounted with a new, more stately fringe of diamond spikes, the taller of which were tipped with lustrous round pearls. This new creation became known as the Kent Pearl and Diamond Fringe Tiara. After the sale of the Cambridge sapphires, this tiara became her primary jewel, her workhorse, the one she relied upon for decades of state openings of Parliament and official banquets, such as the Queen's Silver Jubilee Gala in 1977 and a dinner at Claridge's Hotel in 1989. I find this transformation so symbolic. She took the delicate bandeau of her youth and refashioned it into something with more substance and presence, much as she herself had grown from a young bride into a senior working member of the royal family. This tiara also holds a special place in the family's heart for another reason. In 1992, when the Duke and Duchess's only daughter, Lady Helen Windsor, married Timothy Taylor at St. George's Chapel, it was this tiara she chose to wear. Seeing the same piece on a daughter that her mother had defined for so long is one of those lovely, cyclical moments that royal jewelry gives us. The pearl and diamond fringe tiara was a versatile jewel, and to create a truly complete look for the grandest occasions, the Duchess often paired it with a magnificent matching diamond and pearl suite. That parure has a fascinating story of its own, which we will return to, but first, let's explore the other remarkable tiaras that graced the Duchess's collection. Branching into another magical piece, the Aquamarine tiara, designed by Georges Fouquet, signifies a distinct interplay of modernity and heritage in the Kent collection. Notably smaller and more sculptural than the pearl and diamond fringe, it featured 5 graduated floral motifs, each set with a large cushion-cut aquamarine at its heart, surrounded by rose-cut diamonds and natural pearls. Fouquet, a leading figure of the Art Deco movement and nicknamed the father of aquamarine, created this tiara in 1908. Its original form was a wide bandeau adorned with translucent enameling, but the elements that formed the tiara's main structure were eventually readapted to fit a sleeker, more open frame. Katharine's active use of the aquamarine tiara emerged primarily in the late 1980s through early 1990s, complementing her style during significant state events. There's some debate as to whether this tiara was owned by the Duchess or was a long-term loan, but whatever the arrangement, it served her beautifully during that period. Like so many other Kent jewels, however, its story has an auction house ending. The tiara was sold at Sotheby's in Geneva in 2014 for over $200,000. It's a sad postscript for such a lovely diadem, to see it move from a royal ballroom to the anonymity of a private collection. There's one other rather intriguing jewelry connection that links the Duchess of Kent to another royal house. A magnificent suite composed of 3 strands of emerald beads with Art Deco diamond clasps and matching tassel earrings was once worn by the Duchess. According to the provided materials, this suite, acquired from Gerard, had royal provenance and was loaned to her for an event in the early 1990s. The fascinating twist is that this very same emerald suite now belongs to Queen Sonja of Norway, who acquired it after a theft of other family jewels from Gerard in 1995. It's a wonderful example of how these incredible pieces can travel between families, creating these unexpected threads of shared history. While tiaras were the jewels of state, a duchess's collection is also defined by the suites and ensembles worn for countless other galas, dinners, and important family moments. For Katharine, the 1980s saw the arrival of a truly magnificent diamond and pearl parure that would become the signature pairing for her fringe tiara. This striking suite, likely acquired from Gerard, was the epitome of 1980s formal elegance. It consisted of a substantial necklace of alternating round pearls and pavé-set diamond elements, which culminated in a detachable diamond and pearl pendant, along with a pair of matching earrings, each with one central pearl and 3 pearl pendants. It was the perfect partner for the pearl and diamond fringe tiara, creating a look of cohesive, classic grandeur that became her go-to for the highest of high-profile events. I wonder, which pairing do you feel suited the tiara best? The grand, historic sapphires of her early years, or this softer, more harmonious combination of diamonds and pearls? She wore the full ensemble for many of the decade's most glittering occasions, from the Spanish state banquet at Windsor in 1986 and the state opening of Parliament in 1987, to the Polish state banquet in 1991 and the Brunei state visit in 1992. As we touched on earlier, this suite played a central and very beautiful role in one of the family's most joyful days, the 1992 wedding of Lady Helen Windsor. In a beautiful gesture of continuity, Lady Helen wore not only her mother's tiara, but also this complete diamond and pearl suite. This created a wonderful visual link between mother and daughter, a thread of family history woven through diamonds and pearls on a very special day. In fact, the jewels were so integral to the overall look that the wedding dress designer, Katharine Walker, drew direct inspiration from the suite's design for the gown's intricate embroidery. This lovely family moment was, in a way, one of the suite's last great appearances. After the mid-1990s, it was never seen in public again. While there is no official confirmation, it is widely believed to have been one of the significant pieces sold during that period of financial difficulty, a quiet departure for a suite that had shone so brightly. However, not all of her jewels from that era have disappeared. There is one particular favorite, a diamond flower suite that has remained with the Duchess through all the seasons of her life. Likely a wedding present from 1961, the central piece is a modern diamond flower brooch with a lustrous pearl at its heart. It's a wonderfully versatile jewel. Throughout her working life, the Duchess wore it as a simple brooch, but also cleverly adapted it to be the clasp of a pearl choker, and she had a pair of coordinating pearl and diamond earrings with pearl pendants. What makes this suite so special is that it's one of the very few pieces she continued to wear long after she retired from royal duties. Its most notable modern appearance was in 2011 at the pre-wedding dinner for Prince William and Catherine Middleton. She was also photographed wearing it in 2016 at a reception for young musicians she hosted at Buckingham Palace. It's a poignant shift, isn't it? To see her move from a working duchess in grand parures representing the crown to a beloved family member and private patron attending celebrations in a jewel that has been with her since the very beginning. There is another piece from her mother-in-law's collection that carries an air of quiet classicism and a touch of mystery, Princess Marina's pearl earrings. These were a wedding gift to Marina in 1934, featuring large, beautiful round pearls set within a classic diamond frame. They were among Marina's most worn jewels. After Catherine began wearing the earrings from her mother-in-law's collection, she wore them for evening events during the 1970s and 1980s. And then, they simply vanished from public view. Unlike other pieces that have appeared at auction, their later fate isn't publicly recorded. They exist in photographs from a particular era, and then there is only silence. It's one of those tantalizing gaps in a collection's history that leaves us to wonder if they remain tucked away in a safe, or if they too found a new home long ago. These ensembles, from the grand to the personal, truly defined the language of her public appearances in her busiest decades. But beyond these complete sets, a few individual brooches in her collection told an even longer story, connecting her not just to her mother-in-law, but to queens and empresses of a bygone age. One of the most historically significant was a striking gold brooch that had once belonged to Queen Victoria herself. It's a very unusual piece, a carved gold design surmounted by a silver or enameled cross, with a large central pearl and another pearl drop. Its exact provenance is unknown, but it was clearly a favorite of Queen Victoria, who was photographed wearing it for important family christenings, including that of her granddaughter, the future Crown Princess Margareta of Sweden, in 1882, and her great-grandson, the future Earl Mountbatten of Burma, in 1900. After Victoria's death, it is believed to have been inherited by her daughter, Princess Louise, Duchess of Argyll, who in turn left many of her jewels to Princess Marina. The Duchess of Kent began wearing this historic brooch in the 1970s, bringing it back into the public eye after decades. It was never a daily favorite, but she chose it for specific occasions, such as the funeral of Cardinal Basil Hume in 1999. Its most recent and perhaps most poignant appearance was in 2012, when she wore it for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee service. It's quite a powerful thread of continuity, isn't it? To see a brooch that witnessed the height of the Victorian era reappear to celebrate the 60-year reign of Victoria's great-great-granddaughter. It seems this particular treasure was one of the few heirlooms the Kents retained. Another brooch with an even more dramatic backstory came from the legendary collection of the Dowager Empress Maria Feodorovna of Russia. The central stone is a magnificent sugarloaf cabochon sapphire, surrounded by 4 square diamonds. This brooch was one of the few jewels the Empress managed to escape with from Russia after the Revolution. Following her death in 1928, her daughters, Grand Duchesses Zhiniu and Olga, sold several of her jewels to Queen Mary, who was always a keen-eyed collector of historic pieces. Mary paid £2,850 for this brooch, a significant sum at the time. Shortly before her own death in 1953, Queen Mary gave the brooch to her widowed daughter-in-law, Princess Marina. Marina was a great niece of the Dowager Empress, so the jewel was, in a way, returning to the extended family. The brooch was worn by Katharine on several daytime occasions in the 1970s and 80s, sometimes pinned to her hat. It was last notably seen in 1984 at the unveiling of the Earl Mountbatten of Burma statue in London. And then, like so many other pieces, its trail goes cold. Its subsequent fate is unknown, another quiet mystery in the Kent jewel box. While those 2 brooches were historic treasures for special moments, there was one that became a true workhorse for the Duchess, a signature piece for her grandest evening appearances, Princess Marina's Art Deco diamond brooch. This was another wedding gift to Marina from Queen Mary in 1934, described at the time as an oblong diamond brooch with a square cluster center and link ends. Its clean, geometric lines were the epitome of Art Deco style. Princess Marina wore it on her wedding day, pinned to her gown, and later often used it to secure the sashes of her royal orders. For Katharine, this brooch became the indispensable partner to her pearl and diamond fringe tiara. If you look at photos of the Duchess at state banquets and state openings of Parliament from the late 1970s through to the early 1990s, you will almost always see this brooch. From the Queen's Silver Jubilee Gala in 1977 to state visits from Spain, Brunei, and Malaysia, this brooch was a constant. Its brilliant architectural form was the perfect anchor for a formal gown and the tiara. These 3 brooches are so different, each with its own distinct story. The Victorian heirloom, the Romanov survivor, and the chic Art Deco classic. If you could bring just one of them back for a grand royal occasion today, which would it be? But now, we turn from the jewels themselves to the woman who wore them, and the very different path she would choose. While these jewels tell a story of lineage and history, connecting the Duchess to a distant, grand past, the most enduring image of her for many people has nothing to do with jewels at all. For decades, the Duchess of Kent was a fixture at Wimbledon, presenting the trophies to the winners with her characteristic elegance and grace. But it was in 1993 that a moment of pure, unscripted humanity defined her in the public eye forever. The Czech player Jana Novotná, after a devastating loss in the women's final to Steffi Graf, dissolved into tears on the court. As the Duchess presented the runner-up plate, she did something remarkable. She leaned in, put a comforting arm around the distraught player, and offered a royal shoulder to cry on. As she later recalled, "It's the natural thing, isn't it? That's what you do when people are crying." In that single, instinctive gesture of kindness, she broke through the stiff formality of royal protocol and showed the world the deeply empathetic woman she was. By 2002, this woman, who had spent 4 decades in the spotlight, made a choice that surprised everyone. She stepped away from royal duties entirely and reinvented herself as Mrs. Kent, a primary school music teacher in Hull. Can you imagine the contrast? From the grandeur of Buckingham Palace to a classroom filled with eager 8-year-olds learning their first scales? The transformation was remarkable. In the staff room, she was simply Kath. To the children, she was Mrs. Kent. No titles, no formality, just a teacher who happened to believe that every child deserved a chance to discover music. She taught at Wansbeck Primary School, working particularly with children who had learning difficulties. "Primary school children are like little sponges," she once observed. "They are very eager to learn, so teaching them is very satisfying." Her love for music was famously wide-ranging. While she taught classical pieces, she had a wonderfully eclectic taste, admitting in an interview that she enjoyed listening to the rapper Eminem and even liked beatboxing. She wasn't just teaching notes on a page. She was sharing the profound joy and confidence that music can bring. I think many of us who played in a school choir or learned an instrument can appreciate what a powerful gift that is. I have to ask, do you believe music changes lives? Because the Duchess certainly did. In 2004, she co-founded the charity Future Talent, an organization dedicated to helping gifted young musicians from low-income backgrounds to develop their skills. She was giving other children the opportunities that had so enriched her own life. The Duchess passed away peacefully in September 2025 at age 92, surrounded by her family. Her death marked not an ending, but a gentle transition, the closing of one melody and the beginning of countless others, played by students whose lives she had touched. And so, the story of Katharine, Duchess of Kent, comes to a close. It's a remarkable journey, isn't it? We've traced her path through a lifetime of incredible jewels, from the historic grandeur of the Cambridge sapphires to the personal sentiment of a simple diamond flower brooch. And we've seen that path lead her from the gilded halls of state banquets to the quiet, profound purpose of a school classroom in Hull. This unique life makes you reflect on how she will be remembered. So, I would love to ask you, which image of the Duchess will stay with you? And what are your thoughts on her incredible and at times dramatic jewelry collection? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I truly enjoy reading your perspectives. If you found this story as moving and fascinating as I did, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories from the Royal Vaults. Be sure to click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when a new video is released. Thank you so much for joining me today.